Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to the Synchronicity Podcast. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Megan.
And we change your brain to change your life. We take old programming that was given to you in childhood and give you a new perspective on how to live your adulthood not like your parents, and being able to step out of old patternings into new patternings. If you want more information, check out synchronicity222.com or binge all of our content on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about a pretty massive subject. It is Carl Jung's Anima and Animus, which is the soul of, if we're talking about the male body, female soul, which is the anima, female body, male soul, which is the animus. And this pertains to the explanation, really, of how and why people fall in love. And it's actually your soul reflected in another. And the anima and the animus are essentially the explanation for how all humans are androgynous. We are androgynous beings. This is a huge part of Nicole and I's work. We have both masculine and feminine energy. It doesn't matter whether you're gay, straight, left, right, black, pink, purple.
Upside down.
I don't care. We're all androgynous. And even if you are heterosexual, your friendships are chemistry, and they're actually attraction without sexual attraction. So you're androgynous. You're attracted to both sexes. It's usually just you have a preference of having sex with one or the other, and that totally just depends on a lot of different things. But it was so fun when we learned this, because it explained to me so much of like, oh, that's why I fell in love with this human, or that's why I fell in love with that human, or, you know, this is why I have this girlfriend or that girlfriend, and they remind me of this and that. And, you know, so much of it is that reflection that we talk about, and how you really can't heal outside of relationships because you're missing your other half and that soul reflection. You know, we are souls having a human journey. And so, you know, men are hard on the outside, soft on the inside. And women are soft on the outside, hard on the inside. And this is why, you know, I had to learn compassion for men, because I grew up in a household that didn't have a lot of compassion for men. I didn't understand how soft they are on the inside. This is why men, you know, they write from their anima, or the feminine soul. And that's why men write better love songs than women do. You know, when you think about art and all of those things, men have always dominated that because they create from their feminine soul. You know, and women are beautiful, I won't even lie. If I would have actually had an option, I think I would have dated girls. Fortunately or unfortunately, I'd, you know, prefer the male sex in this lifetime. But, yeah, this is actually like just a profound topic. It's probably one that you'll listen to several times. And again, it's Carl Jung's theory, even though when you look at history, shamans believed in the soul, and males had female souls, females had male souls. That's why shamans were always men, because their female soul came during psychedelic things and healed, because the feminine heals. You know, you're talking about every culture in history that even in dreams, you know, you'll start to recognize as you listen to us how, you know, the soul is reflected. Charlotte's eating a bone, if you can hear it, and Nicole's like fighting her with her foot. This is actually like a very entertaining thing going on the floor. But anyway,
She's so stubborn.
yeah.
Well, and the thing is like, when we first started breaking down this concept, and like after many like plant medicine, like you go and you'll sit in a plant medicine ceremony, and you'll start to like, if you've ever, you know, if you're listening to this and you've heard, like if you've experienced ayahuasca, like you almost like everyone kind of just becomes a part of the consciousness, and like sex kind of devolves, and it's like you can see the shaman actually working on like the metaphysical plane, and most of the time it's a masculine man holding the ground, the grid, but he will be the one that is brewing, and he's the one serving and all this stuff, but that's his feminine soul, because feminine heals. A lot of times That's why normally like medicine men were the ones that served ayahuasca. And not to say that female shamans can't do that as well, but it's just a totally different vibration when you're sitting with a masculine body with feminine soul versus feminine body with masculine soul when you're working in plant medicine. And you're seeing it a lot, even like this confusion of soul plane on the physical plane right now with the ego dystonic. And like everyone just seems to be in this kind of confused state. And when you kind of understand that women have masculine souls, you start to understand the breakdown of the masculine shield. And when you understand that the masculine body has a feminine soul, then we start to understand that, oh, this is where we get that like soft wuss syndrome of like the feminine coming forward, the masculine coming forward, when actually it should be the other way around. And so society right now is a really quite confused, especially here in the Western world, when it comes to actually this soul versus body phenomena.
Well, and there's so many atheists or what's it called, agnostic people in today's world, and it's kind of shocking to me because if you believe in love, essentially you believe in a higher power or power greater than yourself, and we live in a world that's very ego dystonic, so the feminine does not have the place that it used to hold. When you think of like Egyptian times, or even like Grecian times, like back during like the Trojan War and things like that, like the feminine really had its divine space. And, the feminist movement has forced women so far into their masculine and, of the like, oh, well, we can do what men can do. That's never been the question. It's why would you want to do it all? When you don't make space for somebody else in your life, it's a very lonely, depressive life. And I would argue that that's even why we're having a lot of the mental illness that we're having, is because people are narcissistic, arrogant assholes that think that they can do everything themselves. And when you're a narcissistic, arrogant asshole and you don't make space for other people in your life, you're going to be a lonely, very underdeveloped, childish human being that is just kind of a shell of a human. And that's what we're seeing more and more of. As the consciousness kind of splits, and you have the people that are very aware of what's going on, and you have the people that are just seem, even when they're confronted with fact, to completely reject fact. And, it's a fact that humans are androgynous. It's a fact that men and women need each other, and that we're in this together, and that, it's not about sides. It's about coming together and doing this together and finding that common ground. And we have seemed to be at odds, our whole lives. We're just kind of now in the last 5 years coming back into really realizing the power of all of this, because we were raised in the culture that most millennials were, where our mothers were doing anything and everything, and the majority of the fathers were checked out or alcoholics or, wusses, that wives were mothering them. And now the consciousness is coming back, and it's saying like, we can't sustain this. And what's really quite interesting about the Anima and the Animus is that, you fall in love with what you are, and your partner is a reflection of your consciousness. And so this victimhood in relationships of, oh, well, I dated a narcissist, I've been there, but I had to look at myself and why I was dating narcissistic men. And it was because I was a doormat and couldn't use my voice, and I didn't know my own worth, and I had to step into my worth and be okay being alone in order to actually find a partner that was actually the divine masculine, not just this like little boy wuss syndrome that still needed his mommy and wanted me to do everything for him and not take up space at the same time, because that's what a mother does. And so when we look at our flaws and we look at the people that we've dated and the people that we've fallen in love with, it's the broken piece of ourselves. And when we become the integrated divine feminine or the integrated divine masculine, that's when you step into a divine union. And the Anima and the Animus is our beautiful soul reflected, because we are whole as a being, and then we're able to become the divine union. It's not about, where you're lacking. It's recognizing that, I love myself, and then I can give love to another. And the crazy thing is that, men only fall in love once. Like I said, they're hard on the outside, but soft on the inside. And, we were raised very man-hating, Miss Independent, women can do it all themselves, don't ever rely on a man. And so I never realized that, for me, and I'm sure Nicole can chime in here, but, I just never thought that men had any weakness or that they really had feelings because I wasn't taught that. And so as I've really stepped into this work, I've realized oh wow, men, especially alpha men, they fall in love once. And if that girl breaks their heart, they will never love again. They will objectify women for the rest of their lives. So you find these men that cheat and are obsessed with prostitutes and, OnlyFans and everything. They have fallen in love and that girl has broken their heart. And so now they can only ever objectify women. The soul of a man is very, very soft. It's feminine. And we have forgotten as women the power that we have and that we can love multiple. I have a theory about alpha females only being able to fall in love. It's a theory, though. Carl Jung never talked about that. Our theory is that also if you're a hyper alpha female, you also can only fall in love once. And then if they ever break your heart, then you'll objectify men for the rest of your life. And Nicole and I are both of those alphas. And almost all the women we have worked with that are alpha females have the love that got away and the love that, it's actually really insane. And we're curious because alpha is a male archetype, that if alpha females also have that one love, and it would be interesting to really try to understand that more on the soul plane. And maybe at some point we'll have more of an explanation for what that is. But, just so you know, ladies, men are so much softer than we realize. And if we don't become the divine feminine guides and have that soft spot for men of letting them be hard in the physical plane, but allowing them a safe space as in the soul plane, then we're in some trouble, because that's when you kill men after andropause.
Well, and I think the thing is that it's like you said, it's this whole theory of we have masculine souls as alpha females, or just female in general. So it actually makes more sense that it's masculine to fall in love one time. I mean, I can honestly say in my lifetime, I'm pretty sure I fell in love in teenage years and it never changed. And you had your love, and the thing is you get the one opportunity, and I think so often, as an egotisonic alpha, I was at one point, and it's really been the last solid 7 months that I've had the opportunity to really dig at mine and be whoa, hold up, I truly didn't understand how soft masculine is, because our father is androgynous. And so he has more of a softer side in how you communicate and how you go about things with him. He's more like talking to a woman.
Well, yeah, because dad's left-handed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when you're really upfront with a masculine, straight up with a masculine male, you really have to be careful how you're maneuvering it, because their brain is so different. And they're so, I don't want to say they're so easily hurt, but you have to be able to communicate correctly.
They're easily confused.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to communicate correctly, or then that can lead to heartbreak, that can lead to confusion, that can lead to whatever that breaks down the relationship. And in that breakdown of your relationship, that might be that one human that you didn't realize, wow, this is I don't get a second chance. There's so many alpha women that have come to us I didn't get a second chance. That person doesn't talk to me anymore, or that person's married or whatever, right? And it's so crazy to think of the soul reflection back of okay, well, that was the chance. Now, unfortunately, you have to live the rest of your life reflecting on that.
I mean, yes, if you're listening to this and you are an alpha female or alpha male, and you have the opportunity to be with that person that just seems to always haunt you, please do it. Like Nicole said, some of us fucked it up because we didn't know the difference and didn't actually know, and I've never gotten a second chance. I didn't know what the hell I was or what was going on. And I didn't know left from right or up from down. I wasn't raised with any kind of tools to deal with conflict or pain. And, it's just crazy because when you look at like muses or things that like set your soul on fire, these are the people that inspire you to do. I know that like for the man that I loved, he inspired me to heal. And eventually this is why, part of the reason why Nicole and I are sitting here was that when I lost somebody that I loved so deeply, and I didn't really even know what love was at the time, he inspired me to do this work and to heal and to not ever be in that kind of a situation or, ever hurt somebody like that ever again. And for him, I believe, for as far as my knowledge, I inspired a lot of what he has become too. And those are the great muses of our lives. And, I've gotten to watch Nicole's love story unfold too, because I've been on the journey with her through that as her sister. And, again, it's the people that really touch your souls. And it's crazy because your lives will parallel in a lot of ways. In both of our souls reflected, right? The men that have reflected our souls and we've fallen in love with, broken families, fathers that were not involved, patterns of one sibling, it's actually crazy how much our lives parallel. And it's also funny because usually there will be some kind of divine intervention of how you guys meet. It's like it shouldn't have been there, or something kind of funky happens in that meeting. I know for mine has a crazy story that
you do have a crazy story.
We'll share in our book that will be coming out. We'll announce more about that later, but that's a huge part of it's just such a beautiful thing. And so I think Nicole and I sit here and fight for love. If we summed up our work, it's the fight for love. It's the fight to change in order to accept love, give love to yourself, and be able to give love to the world. Because authenticity and love is how the world heals, and understanding your soul and why you're here, and then loving, your soul reflected, because it's not just the broken pieces of yourself. It's also the beautiful pieces of yourself. If you look at the celebrities that you like, they're usually people that you look like. The people that you admire are the same gifts that you have. So even all of you people that are watching this, if you admire our work, then it's touching your soul. It's work that you're meant to be a part of in whatever way possible, right? It may not look the way that we're doing it, but if you're attracted to this, then you have some of the gifts that we have. And that was such an epiphany to me, because that's a soul reflection. We like what we are. We just don't always realize that we are that, because we were not taught to have self-confidence. We were not taught to recognize, the divinity in all of us. We were taught to be humble and play it cool. And what's really funny is like actually the most humble people recognize how gifted they are, and they're just very in themselves and embodied. So they let other people have space, and they have that humility because they love and accept themselves. So they do that to others, and they light the way. And so much of that is the integration of the Anima and Animus, because we're not whole without love.
Well, and I think just like the baseline of it is like looking and understanding that, so much of it is how, if people understood the base understanding of like the soul plane, and like how, it's not all what it is on the outside. And everyone is in their own spiritual battle. They're all, if you're battling something and you love something, most likely that battle is within them, and so there's this space of like in between where you learn and understand grace and understanding, and really understand that the life hack of love and self-reflection is doing your own work and being like, okay, I see this in you, and this is you, and this is us, and I am me, and you are you. And like each person has to do their work, because without each individual evolving, eventually then it will, break down and divorce and all of this stuff, because each individual has to be fighting for themselves and for the whole collective, and being willing to like look at, hey, I'm broken too, because so often you can't just have one party working on it.
Well, and the law is when you fall in love, try to stay in love, because heal it or repeat it. You know,
Amen.
Heal it or repeat it. That's
Over
the law.
and over again. Yeah. So if you want more information, all of this is based on Carl Jung theory of the Anima, Animus. Not really theory. I guess he didn't ever prove it because science can't prove it. But Carl Jung, this is what the baseline of our work is in. And then we blend in the psychedelics to be able to integrate souls. And so if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe. If you are watching this, if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, share it with your friends, like it, comment. If there's some topic that you want to hear about or you're curious about, shoot us a message at synchronicity_sisters. And until next time, bye.